My name's Harrison King and I go to Ewland School.
We've come to the Crucible to perform some music that we made in music.
In every music lesson, which we have once a week, we've been practising and recording all our sounds that we've made ourselves, and then we've put it together ourselves.
Last Monday we had to stay behind school for an hour and a half to practice to make sure that we got it all perfect.
We've got the storm, so we've got like loads of loud banging and like loads of low and like lots of high and squeaky noises.
I'm using a gong to make the loud and quiet sounds of the ice breaking.
This is our first voyage, if you like, into the world of David Bedford's music, and it's just wonderful because it's very accessible, but doesn't in any way write down to the children. So it's, you know, it's no holds barred music. One ingredient was the Cassia string quartet with Lorraine from Ensemble 360, who played the string quintet movements. I loved how programmatic, how descriptive they are. They're really these vivid depictions of the different hazards that you encounter at sea. We then had Sheffield Young Singers and with Tim Horton, the pianist, who performed some of the shanties. The third element was Ewland's Academy, who with David Ashworth had written completely new soundscapes for this piece to be slotted in amongst the other movements. And what I loved about those was how different they were and how vivid they were.
I'm sure David Bedford would have approved very much of this. Even back in the early 70s, he was looking at new ways of making sound, using technology, using unusual techniques. And the way we've interpreted his composition briefs in this project falls very much in line with his philosophy.
It was quite scary, to be fair, knowing that we have to perform in front of everyone else, but yeah, you get used to it.
It was quite nerve-wracking when we turned up and at the front door of the Crucible, but then when we were in and performing it, it was quite exciting.
It's called working with professional people.
I think they've been doing sensationally well. I mean, these children are not used to, they don't have much background in composing and certainly not in performing. So within a very short space of time, they've come up with some really imaginative musical ideas. They've recorded and structured those ideas, and they've learned how to perform them in sequence to a very high standard. So yeah, I'm very impressed with, given how young they are, that they're doing the music they're making is way beyond what you'd expect of children of those years.
A lot of his pieces were written to be performed by different ensembles and schools and beginner players, all put together in the same piece. So I think if he were around, he would have been running some of the workshops, he'd have been coming to rehearsals. So I think he'd be really delighted to see a performance in this context. Part of his work was arrangements for lots of very famous musicians. He had pieces commissioned by the Proms, by the UK's leading orchestras, but a big part of his work was education and wanting to write pieces that could be played and developed and performed by young people in particular, who weren't professional musicians. So that was a real kind of feature of his work, and that's why it's so great to be here today and see it come to life. I think the mixture of players and ensembles is really exciting.
anything to do with music in the round, and we sort of welcome with open arms, and it's a really good opportunity. All the parts work really well together, and it meant that the children could hear the professional pianist and the professional string quartet, and then the work that each one, the composers had been doing, and the composers could hear the singers, and the overall effect I think was excellent. My singers have only been working on their 4 songs in isolation, and so when they heard it amongst everything else that was going on, I think it helped to lift the feel of what they were doing.
It was exciting but scary at the same time, and it was really fun because it was a new experience.
I quite like how there were different parts in the show and stuff. That kind of went well. I think it was just amazing to have professionals and everything there.
My mum, my dad and my nan were here, and also my brother, and they said it was very exciting and they liked it.
This is one of the wonderful things that we're able to do in Music in the Round, is to bring together professional musicians with young, amateur and musicians of different backgrounds. So this was really a lovely day, not just for the young musicians to work with the professionals, but also vice versa. It's when you see that spark in people's eyes, in both directions, that everyone gets so much out of it, and that's why we think it's so important.
It just all came together lovely, and you had professional musicians and young people from different parts of the city all performing as equals and equally well and equally appreciated.
It was really great, and they were making a really good sound. Their timing was perfect, their teacher got them cued in. It was all lovely, and it actually produced an ensemble of the whole thing, so it was very inclusive for everyone, I thought.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Sorry.
It was really interesting. It was something very different. Not ever seen anything like that before.
You could tell it was all the sea and the wind, and
she's really enjoyed it. She was looking forward to it. Loves doing the music at school, so yeah, big part of her life, I think.
I think she got the bug. We'll definitely be back doing more music.
My daughter Charlotte, who stood just off camera there, she was in playing keyboard and stuff like that. I thought it was really good, really atmospheric. It's not what I were expecting at all, but really, the seascapes, everything, the sounds, that were all really well captured.
I really enjoyed it. I was just saying I hope they do another one around Christmas time, because we'll definitely be there.
We're always thinking of new ideas, and Christmas seems a long way off, but I think it'll come around quickly, so yeah, who knows? Watch this space.